So, let's see. How did we?
A file, full view, or Command F or L.
There we go. My idea and my presentations are a little rough because I completely redid my idea yesterday. But let's get into it. So first, things about me. I'm a software engineering major. I'm also a computing for interactive arts minor. I'm really into game design and coding. Really, I just want to make fun games. I'm not super great at the whole like deeper meaning thing. So that's why I kind of redid my whole idea yesterday because I was struggling with that. I really like RPGs, kind of a lot of combat stuff, but I also like um, other types of RPGs like tycoon games or like when you build up and generate a bunch of money, which is kind of goes into the idea that I have for you guys today. So here's my mood board. I didn't really have an aesthetic, but I did. These are all concepts that play into it. Essentially, the idea that I had was if you guys have ever played a tycoon game, there's an example of one in the corner. That one is a game dev tycoon where you essentially make video games. And so in this instance, it would be the game of life. And so the kind of thing behind this is where you kind of fall in the sort of wealth distribution. So when you start a game, you can either have not a lot of money or you could very rarely be rich. And so the kind of game is the point of it is that random occurrences will happen where it'll be like random expenses, random like natural disasters. And so your whole point in this game is to kind of survive. And so you'll be able to work, spend time with family, do leisurely things, and the random occurrences of like, for example, if you have like a health crisis or something, that will pop up the same amount if you're poor or if you're rich. But the whole point of the game is to demonstrate that if you're born with a lot of money, the opportunities that are given to you are so much more and so much easier to grasp if you are born without that much money. And the random occurrences you're able to tank so much easier compared to someone who doesn't have a lot of savings, who doesn't have that sort of background to pull upon. And so I also thought an interesting twist would be if you maybe started playing as a rich person and your choices then affected your subsequent lives as you played as other people in society. So if you were a rich person and you decided to make more money by exploiting workers, for example, then when you played the worker, then you would actually get those detrimental effects that your previous incarnation essentially implemented. I don't have too much else. This is very bare bones. Like I said, I redid it all last night because I couldn't figure out a good idea. But I was thinking about doing it in 2D graphics, similar. I kind of like the aesthetic of the game dev tycoon. I'm most experienced in Unity, so I think that that makes the most sense for this. And I also thought about maybe the music as well as the graphics become more elated, more beautiful, the more money that you have. Essentially having a correlation to joy and happiness in the sense that like you don't have to worry about stuff. Like obviously money doesn't buy you happiness unless you're not being able to pay for food. Then it really does buy you happiness because then you will be full. But yeah, that's the end of my idea. Thanks
So
for
it's
listening.
like a game of life in which the player can play different roles, in which one time is he's very wealthy, one time is on the other side.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. We need more detail about
Yeah.
What's, but I get the game is clear. The idea is good job, fantastic, very nice and clear. The aesthetic is something we can come up with later. And it's actually something we play on the screen, correct?
Yes.
And by the way, Justin, let me ask you something. Yours also is screen and not, sorry, Jeremiah. Yours also is screen and not interactive, correct?
Yeah.
I'm trying to write. Who's next? Who wants to go next? Come on, let's all waste time. Go for it. Maybe Bora, you might be toward the top since you turn it in with a B.
Hello, my name is Bora. I'm a fourth year computer science major and CI minor. I have a lot of experience with like web dev and also took classes for UI UX and computer graphics. I also like drawing, so can do art stuff as well. So my idea is to create an AR app that lets you take care of virtual plants that you can see on your phone screen and positioned in your room. Plants. Plants. Like flowers, plants.
Oh, wow. Okay, like trees and stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did not hear that one. Alright, so it's an AR app to take care of trees and plants?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of for people who like plants and the aesthetic of plants, but have difficulty with like keeping up with real plants because they like have high maintenance. So like some examples for like the AR apps is like the Amazon AR view where you can like kind of see like furniture in your room. Also like Pokemon Go has like cute like interactions you can have with AR. Snapchat, it also like lets you put like filters and stuff that lets you see stuff in AR. And then these are some like examples for the plants. I kind of wanted like a cutesy aesthetic to kind of like encourage you to keep it up.
So do you mean that, so you know AR, the way it works is I go somewhere, it detects an object, and it tells me something about the object. So would I go with my iPad or iPhone close to a plant, and it would come into view, and it would tell me how to care for it? Or would just a virtual, completely new plant pops onto my coffee table, and then what do I do with it? Do you know what I mean? It could go both ways, that it detects something that is there and then augments it, or it starts from nothing, something shows up and then tells you something about it. How do you plan it?
How I was thinking was it would be like virtual plants, but I can see it go the other way around too, with like kind of detecting plants and like telling you like how to take care of it, and like that could also be pretty
But
cool.
you just love the care. You know what it matters for people that love plants like me? How big does this thing becomes, right? So I might go in a nursery and I look at the thing, oh, I love that variegated leaf, it's great. But then I think, is it going to become a 10 feet by 10 feet bush, and my garden is 10 feet by 10 feet, and all I'm going to have is one plant? Or, you know what I'm saying? Or is it going to be more like a tree? Which shape is going to take? Because one thing that would be very fascinating to me is that I go and detect a plant in a nursery or anywhere, and then it tells me not just how to care for that plant, but how it's going to look in the future. Means it shows me the augmented reality version of that plant 10 years later.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Yeah, I kind of made like a rough mock-up of it. It's very fast and not good, but this is kind of like how I'm envisioning it, where you can like see the plant in your room, and then like there's like indicators for taking care of the plant. So if you need to water it, then you're able to like hover over it and like interact with it to make it like seem watered, and then also see like information and like yeah. And then
Does it also tell you if in that corner of the room the poor plant is going to die because it doesn't have enough light? Does it tell you that?
I don't know. That could be a thing too. Yeah.
So you don't go out and buy it since it's going to die most likely. I'm just thinking you could give all kind of information.
Yeah. And then so my location, I was thinking like the indoors and like at home. If we go with like the other idea with like detecting plants, I guess it could also be like inside of a nursery. Some assets would be like variety of plant models so people can like choose the type of plants they want. Technologies using like a AR SDK such as like AR Toolkit. I haven't done anything with AR, so I don't really
But you
know.
know how you can do the detecting plant is when you go with a phone and detects the plant, it could actually create a CGI version of it, so an augmented version of it, but it also can go and dip into the internet and do a search for that particular, an image search. I'm sure you've done a Chrome image search in which it finds that plant in all different forms. You know what I'm saying? But you could actually use the internet to superpower your AR.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Also, like, because iPhone also lets you like take pictures of plants and it tells you like what it thinks it is, and like I feel like that kind of technology you could maybe
You know, it
use.
has a lot. If you look into IKEA, IKEA has a lot of interactive tools like that to mock up in your room like a plant, and you know, in the corner, you know, move things around. There's obviously all CGI interactive stuff you move around. So there isn't the part in which you go and detect a real plant. That doesn't. This is why I'm more intrigued with that. But yeah, I get the idea. It's great, good idea. Let's see how it goes.
Thank you.
It's also feasible, seems like. I don't know if you can have like a million plants, or you can pick like a few and pursue that. And you can find probably a lot of CGI already made trees and plants out there too. You don't have to model everything from scratch. Who's next? Come on, guys, you can do it. Eventually, it has to happen. If you want, I would recommend you present again, so we have it on video, and we can add it here. So even it very quickly, very briefly.
I emailed you some of the AI concept art that I did. Can I open that?
Because you didn't turn anything in here.
I did last week.
Can you turn it in again?
Yeah, it's
Oh, no, it's already
it's
there.
one zip folder of
Okay,
some
cool.
copies.
So are you here somewhere?
Yeah, I should be in there, but I also just sent you an email a second ago.
I just don't want to take the time to
Okay,
log
that's
into,
fine.
unless
That's
I'm
fine.
already
It
logged
doesn't
in.
really matter. It's just some.
So where is it?
visual.
Paul something?
Yeah, right there. Sudert, Paul. That was the PowerPoint. There we go.
Oh, okay. So we have to launch PowerPoint.
Sorry.
You see, I don't even know where the doc is. I don't know if I can find the browser at this moment. Yeah, just give us a presentation, whatever you added,
yeah,
you can
it
tell us.
slightly changed. Doesn't
Yeah.
really matter.
Just tell us what else.
Okay, so yeah.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Paul, computer science student, philosophy and CIA. I love music, different sports, as me at my internship and playing sax. Yeah, so my technical strengths, computer vision, 3D modeling, programming, and I'm interested in interactive and generative art, mixed in virtual reality and projection stuff. Here is I want to do video reactive visuals in Touch Designer. Here's just like a little display of something that you can do. But yeah, last time the problem was it was too eye candy-y. I didn't really have a meaning behind it, and so I thought that an obvious, like the point of this was to encourage connection and like goofy behavior when you're at a festival or something. And so the message is to encourage connection and energy and all of that. And so I figured the visuals could represent that by intensifying when more people group up together, or when you are moving more, to have the visuals reflect that the energy increases and makes things, I don't know, more energetic. That's the point, that connection drives the energy of the situation.
I'll give you an example of something like that. When I lived in Lyon, and I was your age, I was 23, whatever I was, there was a theater downtown Lyon called l'Opéra that was actually designed by Jean Nouvel, that is a big architect. And the dome of the theater had been just restored, and the dome had a pinkish light some nights, right? I lived right nearby. And sometimes had bright red light. The whole dome of this big giant theater was lighting up different colors. I remember thinking, what is this about? So I obviously did a tour of this place eventually as an architect, and the School of Architecture I was at the time in Lyon, and they explained to us that there were all these cameras in the theater that were capturing the foot traffic of the people. And the more people were walking around the building, the more the color intensity was jacking up. This is all fine and dandy, but do you know how many years ago I was 23 years old? I'm
No.
30. So, close. My point is, good idea, but let's get something that is more, like progressive or more attached to modern times.
Well, that's, it's still going to be modern and using Touch Designer, which is like pretty modern thing that you can do things that you wouldn't be able to previously.
Obviously, different technology, I'm sure, but I'm just curious, can we do anything else than just having like movement propel the color or propel something? Can we do anything else? I'm not saying you shouldn't do it at all, but it's been definitely done. And I'm curious, how can we spin it in a way that becomes a little bit more intriguing?
The fact that you remembered that installation 30 years later is...
I'm not saying it's bad.
I
And
know.
if you go, by the way, in the capstone class every week, there is a link that is the history of interactive art, and you'll find a ton of that stuff. The SIGGRAPH, then the letters would pile up on your arms and you would connect and create letters. That's the same idea, right?
There's other
people
options like
gather
that.
together, and their shadows in that case was triggering something. I'm just thinking, what else can we do? I'm not telling you it's bad. I'm just saying, what else?
Like the main point of why I would want to do this is to have it installed at a festival for people to mess around with and interact with. And so I wouldn't want to do something like having words follow. I wouldn't want it to be like something you really have to pay attention to and like, what is the exact meaning of this? Like, I want to just be something fun for people at a festival.
There's a lot of children museums, like if you've ever gone to the Moxie in Santa Barbara?
No.
So when the child comes into the room, they detect the motion and they project the silhouette of the child in bright magenta. And then another one comes in and is bright cyan, another one comes in as a different color. When the kids start, running around the room and these silhouettes cross, then obviously they merge the colors. And that's actually fun. I'm just saying, what can we do? I'm just saying, you can spin it so many different ways.
Yeah, the point is that the generative process would create things that you wouldn't necessarily expect that are like interesting and novel that might not what I'm trying to tell you is it's a good idea. I'm sorry if I came across as critical. What I was trying to say is what in that idea world has been already done, and what that the stuff that has been done that you're interested in, kind of how can we give it an extra spin to it? That is a matter of really doing some research on what is out there that is in that realm and trying to see how can we give it a modern spin, something more unique to it. Okay, I'll think about that
But
more.
I'm saying it's a great idea. I'm just trying to pull out stuff I've seen in that idea realm to tell you, hey, this stuff has been done. What else can we do with it? But for example, one thing I like the idea is for children especially, like children museum, kids love this type of stuff, right? But could they do something that teaches them something too? Like I remember a group of students of mine that wanted to try to teach about constellations. And so the kids, when they were entering the room in this installation in San Jose, by the way, it was a museum in San Jose, they would be prompted to create, for example, the one of the constellations. And so sometimes all of them would team up and create a shape that then would be projected, and then all of a sudden that shape would fade into actually the real constellation, and with the name and with the data about it, so they would learn something about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
That's
telling
an
you
interesting
you're on the
idea.
right track. What can we do though to make it really kind of super cool, super powerful? Jeremiah has an idea.
I literally was listening to you and I thought, connection, what if there were like stars and constellations, and you literally talked about making a constellation. Dang it, it's already been done.
No, I'm glad that you thought the same
But
thing.
yeah, I like you can have like the silhouettes, but instead like you can have like kind of like a skeleton of stars, and you have to like connect with other people and like
I was when you started talking about that, it made me think that I can give like prompts. There's like composites you can do in Text Designer where it like prompts you to form a certain pose or something, and then a group of people would have to take that pose together to make some effect happen or something like that.
And if you don't want people to kind of have to coordinate movement, because sometimes it's tricky, another thing would be very interesting that I just came up with this idea is to teach children about body parts. That is, I remember when one time I got really sick, I ended up in the emergency room and I had stomach pain, and I asked the nurse, on which side is the appendix? I know I should know, right? Do you guys all know which side is the appendix?
Left.
See? My point is, what if the kid walks into the room and at first you just detect the silhouette, and then you ask the child, which side of your appendix, or where are your lungs, or means you make, and then all of a sudden an image fades in to teach you something. And my point is that you can use this technology and superpower it with something like that. And so my point, sorry about coming across as I was critical. I was trying to tell you, how can we give it a spin that makes it even cooler, because then it's teaching us something.
Yeah, and the prompting idea is really interesting to me. The having like things that you are suggested to take that certain pose or something like that.
Yeah. So it's not just what it used to be like 30 years ago that you just create the shape or the color, but that shape or color also tells you something. I feel like that would be cool. But the only scary part of that is the sky is the limit, which you can come up with from the constellation to the body parts to many other ideas. So I look forward to see what you come up with. And all of you guys, right? Because we can all decide to pursue this idea. All right, next. Thanks, Paul. Again, sorry if I'm a little blunt. It's Italian. I wish I could pull it up. Who's next? William, I can tell browser, I think. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can come up with an idea of how do I get that browser out. Because now I feel bad because I told Paul, no way, Jose. See, you cannot get
Oh,
you cannot get a browser out. So I wish you had told me, guys, before I downloaded it. But can we open yours and you give us some extra?
yeah,
Or I mean, let's stop the recording. Big deal.